We are recording. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first ever episode of my Big Gay podcast. I am here with my buddy Mcgavin. Mcgavin, say hello to the wonderful people.
What's going on, everybody?
There's a huge jumping steps. It's not just a push button. Yeah, that's very true, Mike. Sorry. We are live streaming while we record this podcast, so I am going to be interacting with chat while we talk. Gavin and me have been friends for years now, and I have been wanting to do a podcast with him, but have not had that option because I haven't had a PC, and we live in different states, so it makes it a little difficult. I learned somewhat late into our friendship that Gavin is also a fan of wrestling, just like I am. A little bit of an old school fan. Doesn't keep up with it quite as much as I do. But we are going to be talking about wrestling and doing some fun things like that. So what this means is we're going to be doing the first ever live wrestling podcast. You can find us on Facebook whenever we do this, by the way. Big Gay Viking on Facebook. Sorry, I'm like doing 5 things at once right now. We're going to be playing Apex while we do this as well, so that's going to be kind of fun if you want to end up tuning in and watching and everything like that. We're going to be playing some video games, some Digi games while we do this. So, Monday Night Raw happened last night. Gavin, you watched the highlights. What did you see that jumped out at you from the Monday Night Raw episode last night?
Well, I mean, definitely standing out. I mean, they brought...
Was there anything that was like, holy
well,
shit
the MVP
territory?
coming
I
up.
mean, I know the Edge and Matt Hardy thing happened, which is kind of a big deal. Shayna Baszler made her debut, which is also kind of a big deal. I'd recommend looking at your camera when talking to Chad as much as possible. Ups the engagement. Oh, yeah, that's fair. I do forget that I have a camera now, so that always throws me off whenever I do this. But yeah, we had Shayna Baszler's debut last night attacking Becky Lynch. There's a person up here. I am so dead.
Yeah.
Shayna Baszler debuted last night attacking Becky Lynch, biting her. And I was drinking Lance super hard, but try to make. Yeah, I agree completely. Thank you, Mike. That is good advice that I desperately need because I am still confused. But yeah, Gavin, you said you watched the highlights. What did you think of anything that happened on Raw last night?
Besides Shayna Baszler attacking, the Becky Lynch the whole plot line that they're running with, one thing that did stand to me was MVP coming back.
Okay, I realized I can't hear Gavin because he's no longer talking in the Xbox party. He's just talking on Discord, and I'm very confused.
Oh, okay. I got kicked from the party, that's why. Okay, hold on. There we go, sorry. A little technical difficulties here in the chat. Number 1 happens on occasion, but that's okay. We can knock out the game.
There we go. Now I can hear you again.
All right.
PC.
So,
I'm playing on Xbox, but I have a capture card, so I am hooked up through that playing on Xbox. There we go. Now I can hear you again. So that's a step in the right direction. Because I was like, "What'd you think of Raw?" And then I heard nothing, and I'm like, "Oh God, he's nervous."
No. Basically, what I was just talking about was besides Becky Lynch being attacked from there and things like that. Like I said, we grew up. We kind of have different takes on it. I'm more. When I watched wrestling back in the day, like I said, I still like it. It's still fun to watch and things like that on occasion. But going back throughout, the storylines back then versus now, one thing that I did notice last night, MVP coming back to try to work his way in to actually kind of like take the role of like a Paul Heyman for Brock Lesnar, but for Drew McIntyre.
But the what is that segment called, the like players ball or something, like the lounge or some shit?
Exactly, yeah.
That sounded slightly racist and I didn't mean it to. It's not called the players ball.
Drew McIntyre ending up hitting him with I believe the Claymore kick.
Lay Claymore, he does enjoy that.
Yeah, he just laid him out. I mean, it's understandable. I mean, one thing does concern me. I will tell you one thing though is MVP made the comments of, hey, people don't think Drew McIntyre is ready for the WWE title. Now, my thought process on that is, like I said, I'm still, versus today versus what I used to actually be an advocate watcher. I think it's his time to shine.
I also very much appreciate that, Mike.
I think it's just time to go. It's Brock Lesnar's been the guy for so many years now, the champion, been the face. I think Drew McIntyre has that persona and everything to be able to be a champion. The question is, he's decent in the promos. But my biggest question is where do they build from that? You make him champion. Where do you build from that? Who's his next? Seth Rollins? No, Seth Rollins has his own Monday Night Messiah thing going on right now.
Honestly, I think that's the issue that they had with Rollins the first time when he won the title because they had nowhere to take him. Like Rollins wins the belt off Lesnar Mania, and then he has some feuds with just people who didn't deserve to be in the championship picture and everything like that, and that leads to a very stale champion. That's one of the reasons that I love Brock Lesnar and love his entire gimmick because he's only there part-time. I like having a part-time champion. Like, a lot of people hate on that. I think it's an extremely important part. Like, when Hogan was champion back in the day, Hogan wasn't on fucking TV every day defending the title or wrestling anybody. Hogan showed up for pay-per-view events. Hogan showed up for big things like that because that's what was important. There was no reason to have your champion on TV every week because, plain and simple, it oversaturates the audience to him. If when you're oversaturating your audience, you make it not important. That's why, like, The Fiend. I love having The Fiend as a champion because we saw that at TLC when he had the match against The Miz. He came out as Bray Wyatt. It wasn't The Fiend. It's like Finn Balor when he comes out as the Demon. When you make these things important and seem like they matter on a bigger stage, then that's when they matter on a bigger stage. Like, there's no reason to have your champion on TV every week. There just isn't. And I think that's going to be an issue with Drew, just for the simple fact that Drew he's there every week. And you're not going to, like, lose your audience from that, but you're going to oversaturate into Drew McIntyre. And unless you can give him something very good to chew on coming out of that match with Lesnar Mania, it's going to be all for naught. It's not going to matter.
Exactly.
And that's super concerning to me that Drew's going to end up winning this belt. It's going to be a huge moment. People are going to love it and everything like that. But at the end of the day, if you don't do anything with him after that, you're just building a guy up to take his legs out. And it's what they did to Jinder Mahal. They tried to make a champion out of a guy, and people can say whatever they want about Jinder Mahal. It was an interesting choice. But at the end of the day, Jinder Mahal was a unique choice for champion.
Oh, yeah.
And they did nothing to build him. And that's the issue I have with a lot of this, is they build these guys up and then just take their legs out. And I don't get why they want to keep doing that to these guys. Like, you have a very talented roster.
Let's take a look at that real quick. Because let's go back about 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you know me, man. And for people that are listening, you know, whatever. For people that are going to be listening, I'm an advocate of the CM Punk.
Yep.
The reason I watched wrestling was because of CM Punk, because the way that they set up his storyline was incredible to me at the start. They ruined it for me towards the end. Well, that's what WWE does. They come out with these amazing storylines, but then, like we just said, they don't close it. It's like any sports, man. You know, you have to have a closer, and like baseball, they didn't have a closer for that.
Yeah, I mean, you're completely right. Like, they build these guys up with these feuds and everything like that, and then they just do nothing with it.
Exactly.
And I don't understand the point of that.
So, with Jinder Mahal, I actually, like, back when that's actually, like, kind of when I was still somewhat watching it. What they did with him was
I dug them choosing him to be champion. Like, when he got the #1 contendership and he went to the match with Orton, I was like, holy shit, they're actually going to use an opportunity to build up a mid-card and undercard guy to the championship picture instead of continually pushing their choice down our throat.
So, actually, one of the biggest things, the reason they chose him as champion was actually where he's from.
The Saudi crowd. Even though he's from fucking Canada.
Exactly. They were trying to bring in that part of the world was not an advocate watcher. I mean, you have your Australian wrestlers, you have your Canadian wrestlers, even though Jinder Mahal is Canadian, in fact. But you have all these people that have the persona of that, and they wanted to draw in that crowd. And this, like, no offense, Kofi Kingston finally getting his shot, man, it drew in a larger audience. They finally give people certain shots to. And that's one of my big issues nowadays is instead of giving the people what they want, they're selecting territorial people that don't really have. Kofi Kingston's storyline, like where they knocked him off to Lesnar, I'm sorry, that was a terrible. honestly, I would rather see Kofi. Like, I would have rather seen the Kofi versus Bray Wyatt and have like, sorry, the Fiend attack, members of the New Day, make Kofi Kingston turn into some type of, instead of friendly guy, turn into him a heel and start attacking and freaking out instead of the Daniel Bryan side of it where it was, you know, and that was the last pay per view was them doing Daniel Bryan versus the Fiend with the whipping match where Daniel Bryan put up a decent fight, and all of a sudden the Fiend, of course, became the Fiend again, and literally just started taking whip shots like it was nothing.
I mean, I watched that live. It was a good match. It didn't need the strap stipulation. Like, that felt like it was not necessary for that feud. Like, a cage match would have made more sense because he's trying to, like, they did the thing of, like, oh, the Fiend's running away. The Fiend disappears, all this shit. Put it inside a Hell in a Cell. Put it inside a steel cage. The strap match, in an era where you're not getting blood and you're not getting color and things like that, having matches like that seem to really just take away from the product for me. And that's I'm a victim of my own circumstances. Like, I grew up on the fucking Attitude Era where if you fucking flicked a guy in the forehead, he was busted open, gushing blood everywhere. You had Ric Flair with the blood running through his fucking white hair and shit like that. Like, you had these guys who were cutting every match, and while I completely agree with the reasons they don't do it anymore, because it's extremely dangerous and people can get, like, diseases. Like, you look at Nigel McGuinness, who got fucking hepatitis from the shit. Like, it's a dangerous part of the business. And I'm happy that they are taking steps towards fixing that because they haven't for a long time. They've done unprotected headshots with chairs. Like, you go back and watch a Royal Rumble with Rock and Mick Foley where he handcuffs him and hits him with a chair probably 40 or 50 times in that match, and Mick's out on his feet the entire time. I'm glad they've taken these steps, but with that, there needs to be changes to your product. You can't keep putting on strap matches if you can't let guys cut. You can't keep putting them in these matches, like the big Falls Count Anywhere match between Roman and Corbin at the beginning of the show. It was a fun little spot fest. They wrestled all over the arena. It was great. But you've got two guys who are in the middle of essentially a blood feud, and nobody's getting color. Like, if I got into a fight with a guy at the supermarket and I hit him in the face right, he's going to bleed. Exactly. Like, if you want to, you can't frame this as an athletic competition in real sport and sports entertainment if you're not going to have your product reflect what you're selling. And that's kind of my issue with WWE. They're selling a blood and guts promotion, but then there's no blood and guts, and I don't understand it. Like, last night we got some color in the worst possible way. I'm sorry, our random, we're playing Apex and our random just jumped off the fucking map. It made me laugh. He committed a little bit of suicide there. But they're, like, actually, let's go to last night. Let's talk about that for a minute. Shayna Baszler made her debut. For those of you who may not be up with the product, Shayna Baszler was in NXT, which is WWE, formerly their developmental territory, now their third brand. She was their champion for, I think, over a year before she lost it to Rhea Ripley.
She was the champion for a while.
She debuted against what is quite possibly, or at least was quite possibly, WWE's hottest performer, like their biggest fucking character that they've had since Stone Cold Steve Austin, in Becky Lynch, the Man. She attacked her, which is awesome. I love seeing that because it looks like we're probably going to get Shayna and Becky at Mania. And I think Shayna deserves a top spot at Mania. She's proven herself and proven that she can absolutely go with in WWE's kind of circle and everything like that. I wanted her to win the Royal Rumble very badly. I understand why Charlotte won it. I don't think it was the right choice personally, but I get it. And seeing that Shayna's going to be kind of the new kid on the block, and I think Shayna may be the one to dethrone Becky, who's had that belt going into Mania, will be for a year. That will be the 1 year mark of her reign. Shayna debuts, beats down Becky, and then takes a bite out of her. And we got some color there. But what concerns me is that on commentary, they were saying things like, oh, vampire and this. And if they stick Shayna Baszler with a fucking vampire gimmick, I'm going to lose my goddamn mind. Because she is too good to have a Gangrel gimmick. She's not a member of the Brood. Like, this is the wrong way to go. Like, we got out of these stupid fucking characters. Like, it's one thing to have, like, your goofy, like, No Way Jose's who are just comedy spots, but if you have a legitimate badass wrestler like Shayna Baszler, and you relegate her to the vampire role, you're just cutting her legs out before she even starts, and that is not fair. Like, she deserves so much better. And I'm hoping that that's not the case, but I don't know.
With everything, and that's the problem is, look at everything. I mean, look at the last like superstars that have come in, and they were given a persona of something that they're not. I mean, it's been it's the last, I would say, 4 years. There have been way too many talented superstars that have been given personas of something that they're not, and it's just becoming an issue. And I agree with you 100%. If they give her a persona of a vampire, then honestly, that's a huge issue to me. Because no, dude, she's a grade A badass. A
legit, like MMA fighter, like Ronda Rousey level of badassery. I didn't know you guys killed them when I threw my ult at them.
Yeah, they're dead. Oh, yeah, cool.
All right, cool. I'm here. I'm here to play. But I mean, WWE has a fucking thing, like, they regularly do shit like this. Like, they have an incredible talent, and they're just like, well, here is quite possibly the worst gimmick we could have come up with for you. And I don't understand the mentality with that, because it's like they have these amazing performers. And that's one of the reasons I absolutely adore and love NXT so much, is because they let the wrestlers fucking wrestle. And I get WWE's a bigger thing, like, it's sports entertainment, they need to be entertaining and everything like that, but you can have your comedy spots without throwing bad gimmicks on your good wrestlers. Like, No Way Jose, I get it. He comes out with a Kong line, it's fine. Adam Rose was the same way. Like, these are guys who were not going to be main eventers, and I understand, and you have to understand that not everybody's going to be a main eventer. You're going to have undercard guys, you have to. But in the same breath as that, there has to be a line. There needs to be somewhere where you're like, this is like Adam Rose in NXT is Leo Kruger. He did some good work. He wasn't a bad wrestler, but he wasn't never going to be the guy.
No,
stick him in a comedy spot. That's fine.
It was to me like a lot of stuff that's happening. You look at back when Randy Orton, Ted DiBiase, Cody Rhodes, those type of guys, man, they were great caliber guys, but they would never be main eventers. They would never be the guy. And now that's kind of what my problem is. I feel like the WWE nowadays, instead of finding or building that, I mean, look, Roman Reigns, man, dude, there's a reason they call him the dog, his yard, whatever. There's a reason why he is what he is, but then again, he's still not the guy. He doesn't have that personality. He's a tank. He's like a Braun Strowman to me. It doesn't work as a whole champion. That's why Brock Lesnar is so unique, because they have somebody that they can put Paul Heyman next to a quiet guy, Brock Lesnar, but he's a tank, and he just fits that persona of, hey, I do what I say, I back up what I say. But then again, you have the last person besides Becky Lynch that I thought the WWE actually built perfectly was AJ Styles.
Well, and to be fair, AJ Styles was built before he came in. Everybody in the world knew who AJ Styles was.
Exactly.
That's not a guy that you have to build. And WWE building their own talent, like, there are cases of homegrown talent. Like, Cena is a perfect fucking example of a homegrown talent working out exactly the way he needed to. He was the prototype in California and everything, but Cena's also a guy who got over on his own laurels. Like, he did his rap gimmick and everything like that, which is what got him over, and that was him being himself, which they don't allow these guys to do anymore. And I will say that in defense of Roman is told to say certain things and act a certain way. Roman has to follow the script. The issue with that is the script ends up killing his momentum, because he says things like fucking suffering succotash and shit like that in promos. And that's not what you want from a guy. Like, I don't want to hear a legitimate badass ever say the word suffering succotash in any instance whatsoever.
Exactly.
And that's why, like, when Dean Ambrose left and he did all those, like, podcasts and everything talking about all this stuff, he was like, look, their creative process is stifling. Like, they don't encourage creativity. They push it into the ground. And I completely agree with that. There's certain guys who can get away with shit. Like, if Rock comes back, Rock can say whatever the fuck he wants. They're not going to tell Rock no. Cena can get away with saying whatever the fuck he wants. Nobody's gonna tell Cena no. But at the same time, and I understand that there are young kids up there who probably shouldn't have carte blanche to say what they want and do what they want. And that's completely understandable. But you have guys that you need, like, if you're going to put the belt on somebody, you should trust them wholeheartedly to say and do the things that you need them to do. And that's what I like about NXT, because the promos feel more real. They feel like they're coming from a place where there's not a writer shoving a piece of paper in somebody's face and saying, this is what you're going to say. Like, it seems like the writers down there tend to work with the talents a little more to get their voice across, because it doesn't sound like their voice. It sounds like somebody telling them how they think they should talk. Like Roman, I think Roman absolutely could be the guy. Roman's got the look, Roman's got the talent, and I think Roman's not bad on the mic. If you've ever heard him in interviews and the dude doesn't have a piece of paper or a script in front of him, he sounds like a guy you'd go get a beer with, which is what Stone Cold was. And I think that's what's lost on a lot of people, is the fact that Stone Cold Steve Austin was an amazing promo. He was an amazing promo because they let him speak as his character. Roman Reigns' character, he doesn't fucking have one. Like, they've done nothing to develop him. They put him there like, this is a good-looking dude. We're going to throw him out there, and people are going to love him. And then they didn't. And then WWE sat there with their thumbs up their asses. Like, well, I guess maybe eventually they'll like him, I guess. Like, it was just... It seems like there was no forethought put into building guys. They just wanted... They just go after a look at this point. And I don't understand that. Because you've had guys like Shawn Michaels who broke the mold. You had guys like Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, AJ Styles. These guys who aren't these mammoth monsters, who are incredibly good in the ring, good enough on the mic. Because, like, I mean, I'm going to be honest. Shawn Michaels isn't a great talker. He never was. But his in-ring work made up for it. AJ Styles, not amazing on the mic. But his in-ring work makes up for it. Daniel Bryan, not amazing on the mic. But his in-ring work makes up for it. It's very rare that you find somebody whose in-ring work and mic skill are top tier level, like Becky Lynch. I do not think Becky Lynch is a great wrestler. I think Becky Lynch does enough to be serviceable. I do not think Becky Lynch is good on the mic. I think Becky Lynch got pissed off, went off script, and it worked out for her. Because the crowd felt something real for a change. It didn't feel manufactured.
But see, that's the problem is, I want you to, I keep saying look back because, like I said, 10 years. Let's look back 10 years from now. 2010. How many people did that? How many people said, you know what? From 2010, how many people can you literally say, you know what, I'm going to go off script? Because I agree with you 100%. And Becky Lynch has been confirmed to go off script many, many times. And it's because of the simple fact is, what you just said, people wanted something and she gave it to them. CM Punk did the same exact thing. Why he canceled his contract? That wasn't scripted. A lot of the stuff with John Cena was not scripted. The contract signing with Vince McMahon and John Cena both in the ring, that was not scripted. How he just canceled and ripped up his contract. He was fed up with what they were feeding him. It was complete trash, garbage, and he stuck it out. And then he finally got what he wanted, and then they threw him a heel turn. They gave him everything he wanted. Then they threw him a heel turn with Paul Heyman. And that's when everything kind of changed. But within the last 10 years, how many people have actually gone off script and became their own personified person that they created?
The only people I can think of that I really have the ability to go off script right now would probably be Roman. If he did it, he wouldn't get in trouble for it. There's no way he fucking would. Kevin Owens, John Cena, if he's ever around again. Triple H can say whatever the fuck he wants. And maybe the Usos because they're under the Roman banner, but that's about it. Because I feel like the New Day could probably have that advantage as well, just because of how fucking extremely talented those guys are. But that's a very small list. Like, I named quite a few people, but when you think about the grand scheme of things, how big that company is and how many people they have, that's not a very long list of people who can just go out and be themselves and promo and stuff like that. Like, it's insane to me that you have you sign these people for a reason. Like, even if you sign them just based on talent alone, at some point they had to talk.
Exactly.
Like in NXT, they have promo class. Like that's a thing that every wrestler talks about. Dusty Rhodes used to run it. We had promo class. It doesn't feel like they're trusting their talent. And,
no, and they never trust.
And I can understand to an extent not, because you look at AEW and the stuff they're doing. And look, this is not an AEW versus WWE thing for me. I will probably always be WWE until I die because I grew up on it and I love the product. But AEW has a lot of guys who do their promos the way they want. Yeah, there's probably a writing process and a creative process involved in that where they have a conversation about it. But AEW isn't WWE. It never will be. Which, for some people, that's what they like about it, and that's awesome, because ECW was never traditional wrestling, and people loved ECW. AEW will always be the minor leagues compared to WWE. It's an alternative. It's not the brand.
But see, my thing is, yes, WWE can make a superstar right then and there. But let's look at Dean Ambrose going to AEW, now becoming former Dean Ambrose, now John Moxley, and
which
being
is the name he used on the Indies, by the way. If for those
exactly. That was originally who he ran with when he first started doing sports entertainment wrestling, even on the indie scene, things like that. But at the same time, look back at it now. I would say his career is 10 times better. I mean, it's not, he's not under a WWE contract, and that's okay. But I mean, I have heard more John Moxley than I heard Dean Ambrose in the last year. I mean, and one thing I love about the Dean Ambrose thing, it reminded me a lot of CM Punk, because when he went off, he finally said he had enough. Dude, he went and basically just described the WWE in an interview. I think
he did the interview on Jericho's podcast.
He literally just sat there. You look at him, a guy that's as talented as he is, as well as he is, dude, and they ruined him. For what?
While I agree that Dean Ambrose is an extremely talented wrestler, I think people wanted Dean Ambrose to be better than he was. Like, I was never a huge Dean fan. I wasn't a Moxley fan on the indies either, because I don't like death matches. I feel like that takes away from I'm okay with getting color and stuff like that, as long as it's in the confines of telling a story and psychology and everything like that. Ambrose was never that guy for me. And I don't dislike the stuff he's doing in AEW, but it's not lighting the world on fire for me either, by any means. Like, nothing AEW. Like, the only thing AEW is doing that I'm remotely interested in currently is Cody Rhodes and MJF having their feud. Because that is better than anything going on in WWE right now. Like I said, this isn't WWE versus AEW. Both products offer something for people, and that's awesome. Cody Rhodes and MJF is better than anything going on in wrestling right now. It's the best feud going on because it feels personal, it feels real, and it feels like you're watching something that should be happening behind closed doors, which every wrestling feud built on like a turn, like somebody turning on somebody, should feel that way. It should feel like you're involved in something you should not have any business being involved in, which is why Austin McMahon was so good back in the day, because you had a guy who was feuding with his boss, and they were talking about, I don't want to wear a suit to work, you're going to wear a suit to work because you're the champion, like things like that. And it felt visceral. It felt like there was real animosity between them. WWE doesn't have that going in any of their storylines anymore, and they haven't for a very long time. Right now, it's like, you're the champion and I want the belt. That's not a feud. I don't get it. I don't know what they're doing. It doesn't make any sense to me.
No, and see, that's the problem. I would say that, I mean, of course, they have such a talented roster, dude. I mean, you look at even the bottom tier guys. The bottom tier guys, they can easily turn. I mean, dude, look at man, he just joined the force. I forgot his name. He just joined, Seth Rollins' crew.
That would be Buddy Murphy.
Buddy Murphy.
Who is now just going by Murphy. I don't know why they fucking changed his name.
But the dude has mic skills. He still has. Even him, they have such a talented roster. I mean, even one of my favorites right now is Ricochet.
Yeah, Prince Puma from the Indies. He was good in Lucha Underground. He's been good everywhere he's been. Like Ricochet is a super talented dude.
They have so much talented rosters, and I mean, looking back, dude.
And to
I
be fair,
remember,
Ricochet is getting a title shot at the Saudi show
oh
against
yeah,
Brock.
I mean,
It's
he'll
gonna be
lose.
a fucking squash match,
Yeah,
but he's
he'll
getting a
lose.
shot.
He's gonna
at least.
lose. Yeah, he's gonna lose, of course, and everybody knows it. He's gonna lose because they're setting up for the Brock Drew McIntyre, which honestly I think that's the best storyline that they have right now going with. Besides anything that they do with the Fiend, I mean, even the Becky Lynch one. I mean, dude, we're talking about promos and storylines like years ago. John Cena, The Rock, it took years of building, but it was constant. They did Survivor Series together. They literally.
Honestly, John Cena and The Rock, that feud amazes me just for the simple fact that John Cena had to carry that feud the entire time because Rock was off shooting movies, which that's fine. But it always felt like that presence was there. It didn't feel like it was. It felt important even though only one of them was around. And a 3-year build, like, that is, like, you can't do that with every feud. You have to have short blow-off feuds because you have to be able to tell stories in a quicker fashion, and I completely get that. But there's no feud, like, right now, can you name any feud, like, any issue that's been happening for longer than 3 months in the WWE?
No, because they change it. See, I keep saying the problem is, but like, this is stuff that like, this is why I fell out of love with the WWE. I mean, you're talking to a guy that used to hop on every Monday night, and I'm not that old. I'm things like that. I'm 23, but 10 years ago, man, 8 years ago, I was 15. Watching CM Punk come down the ranks, watching The Rock feud, watching all these great superstars at that time. And honestly, I mean, you had the Jericho feud, and the Jericho feud, that was at least a year. Because
they built up a lot of stuff. Like, I mean, even, like, if you want to talk about short burn feuds, like a couple months of a feud that was perfect, look at Jericho and Michaels. When they had their ladder match of Vengeance. That was one of the best feuds I have seen in wrestling ever. And it was two guys. I did. I broke that cargo bot and got a gold shield and a gold helmet.
All right, Nerdy's hacking viewers. I'm sorry, he literally
that was the best cargo bot I've ever gotten.
Listen, chat, or I call him chat because I'm streaming too. But
yeah, you're a streamer. You're used to chat. You're not used to.
So Nerdy's still gonna go down first. Is still he has the best armor in the game, but he will still go down first. And we like to make jokes about things like that. But honestly, getting back to something, you're absolutely right, dude. I mean, the Michael, Jericho, everything, dude. It's the storyline.
I will still put Michaels and Jericho's feud up against literally anything that's happened in the past 50 years of wrestling, and I can't think of anything except for Austin and McMahon that felt more real than that.
And another thing, dude, is man, look at Michael's Undertaker, dude. That Triple H and Undertaker.
That was 4 years.
That was 4 years of just the best, one of the best ones I've ever saw. And honestly, you're right, dude. Like, average one is 3 months, but then again, you look at the talent roster back then versus now. You're talking Sheamus back in his prime, dude. When Sheamus was actually a big deal, versus now Mohawk looking dude with a looking like I mean, dude, y'all remember when people that know Sheamus came in and like put Triple H and beat him with a lead pipe and stuff like that. That feud, Sheamus versus John Cena. It was just everything that they did back then. I mean, not everything was perfect, but the storylines were just so unique, and they actually meant something. Now it's like you just said, 3 months. Oh my goodness! Well, he's champion. Hold the title now. Congratulations. That's fantastic. Let me tell you something. It doesn't help. It doesn't do anything for me or for I mean, the Ronda Rousey. Good Lord. Signing Ronda Rousey, and then she goes, "Yeah, I want to have a kid," and that's fine. All respect to her. But now, what do? You sign. Your goal is to sign her and literally build around her, and you build around her for what? 8 months, 10 months, a year, if that. I mean, we got. I know, guys. Like I said, I'm sorry. I might be a little behind. Did we get the Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey? That's how you won a title, right?
At WrestleMania, there was a triple threat between Charlotte, Becky, and Ronda.
You're right. You're right. I do remember. I do remember that now. Okay, thank you. So sorry, like I said, guys. Like a lot of the newer stuff, I'm still kind of behind on. You know. But it's stuff like that where it's stuff like that where it's just now what? What do you do? They have Drew McIntyre coming in, you know, and I'm very excited to see what he can provide. But it's storyline after storyline after storyline. There comes a time where you can't sit there anymore and be like, oh yeah, you know. And the whole PG era, man. I'm tired of the PG era. I'm tired of all this, man. You describe you want blood, guts, and gore, man. You know, but at the same time, you know, I'm done with it. You know,
I don't mind having a PG product. I don't think that necessarily hurts the product. I think you can still tell good stories. Like, I can think of TV shows I've watched that are TV PG, and they're still super enthralling and like super fun to watch and things like that. Just because it's rated PG, like, yeah, it's a violent thing that's framed in a PG manner, which is weird. But
it takes suspense out for me. It takes suspense out for me. That's what it does. And what I mean by that is going throughout. You know, you're right. You're absolutely right. You can do the PG scene, but it takes out that era of ass kickers. The people that built the industry, the people that literally put their blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, the matches that actually were worth it. And now it's like, oh my god, you know. And here's the thing: last night, Becky Lynch thing getting blood and stuff like that, or you know, occasionally they show blood, things like that. Yes, but how often do you see that anymore? You remember the matches where you would see like almost every single night, dude, someone was bleeding. And of course, you're trying to make people safer. You know, you're trying to prevent a lot of things, and that's great. But with this whole thing, I get it for the viewers and things like that. You took Triple H and you made him a bitch, in my opinion. You put him on corporate and you made him a bitch about it. And it's cool, you know, the storyline with that was really with you know, now, you know, just because, you know, you gave a guy the name of the Cerebral Assassin, and then you, of course, now he's on corporate and things like that, and I understand he can't be that assassin anymore, but then, you know, his best match was, in my opinion, versus either the Undertaker or Brock Lesnar. I mean, the CM Punk match was terrible. In my opinion, it was terrible. It's just the stuff nowadays, man. It's like it's so. We all know it's scripted, but it feels like it's like we talked about. Why some of these people, in my opinion, why they can't be the guy. You know, and it's fun.
yeah, it seems like a lot of the issues that they're having right now stem from Vince, especially being out of touch with his audience. And when the guy who's like, and I personally think that when Vince is no longer running the show, it's gonna get better. Just because you'll have somebody like I mean, Triple H should be the one to take over, at least the creative aspect of it, not necessarily the business aspect of it. But you look at the way Triple H is running NXT. That brand is so fucking good.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's but look at NXT. It is more. It is more. It's not more. I'm sorry. The word I'm looking for. It's not PG as the WWE. They're breeding ass kickers. They're breeding the type of people that we grew up on. That we literally sat there and watched and go like a Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like a heel Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho, ladies and gentlemen, say what you want about him. Chris Jericho is in my top 5 as a wrestler. And
oh yeah, Jericho's one of the all-time greats.
Whether you like him or not, Jericho, you could do anything with Jericho. That's the thing. Is Jericho was a guy that they could do anything. The feuds with John
Chris
Cena.
Jericho got a fucking good match out of China. Do you know how goddamn hard it is to do that? Like, that dude is uber talented. Like, he has always been one of the best in the world when it came to wrestling. Like, even the stuff in WCW was fucking awesome. Like, even if you put him in a comedy spot, dude made it awesome. If you put him in a hardcore match, dude made it awesome. If you put him in a blood feud with somebody, he made it awesome. The only things that weren't awesome were things that involved, like, the only stuff I can think of when it comes to Jericho, the stuff that I don't like the Undisputed title run. It's awesome that he can say he was the first Undisputed champion. I don't like how that feud ended, things like that, but I don't like his feud with Dean Ambrose either, with the fucking Ambrose Asylum match, because it was just stupid.
I was not a fan of the Kevin Owens stuff. Yeah, like a lot of the
I personally love the Kevin Owens stuff. The Festival of Friendship and the turn was so good. I loved it.
The list, I didn't understand the list. You just made the list. Okay.
It was just some. It was. I guarantee it was something stupid Jericho did in a promo that caught on. As soon as the crowd takes something, like, I think that's what he said. He's like, I said something stupid, or I had a list of something, and when I came out next week, there were signs in the crowd for the list, Jericho's list. And he's like, so I just ran with it. The crowd dictates a lot of the stuff these guys do. Like, some of the stupid stuff, it's the reaction that they get from the crowd, and I completely understand that. And I enjoyed the Jericho Owens stuff, but I also, Kevin Owens could churn butter, and I would fucking tune in to watch it. That dude is so fucking good. I love Kevin Owens.
Oh, hands down. See, when they gave him the title, here's the thing. Kevin Owens,
they fucked him with that title run. They fucked him with that title run so bad.
Versus Kevin as a hero title. I think if he was a hero title holder, it would do so much better than Kevin Owens as a heel.
I don't mind him as a heel with the belt. I don't like him as a cowardly heel with the belt.
See, that most heels are. I mean, how many? But besides another thing like that, how many heels are not the people that? Oh well, yeah, let's like the real. That's one of them right there. Honestly, I'm one of the biggest haters of Albert. They're like a super talented wrestler, but at the end of the day, man, I couldn't stand every time the dude came on, and you're like, oh, you can fight Ricardo Rodriguez. I'm like, like that. Like, I understand, like that. Like, it's champions like that, and that's like why a lot of the heels that are champions, I can't deal with, because they all have that persona. The heroes that save the day, and the heels like villain who's gonna run away from every single fight, but they'll keep him champion for years. It's not really like that, but
And I understand where you're coming from. But we also did grow up in an era with Stone Cold being a heel champion, Triple H being a heel champion. Like, you can have heel champions that are total badasses. We've seen it plenty of times. Shayna Baszler in NXT, for most of her run, there were times when the four horsewomen of the MMA world would come and help her out and win matches. And I'm perfectly fine with a heel having, like, a stable to help them win matches. Like Triple H and Evolution. Triple H was still a legit badass during the Evolution run. And yeah, he cheated to win. Heels cheat to win, and that's the issue with today's wrestling, is they don't let heels be heels anymore. I don't remember who I was listening to, but somebody was like, yeah, there used to be a time when a heel would grab the ref, throw him on the ground, and that was just heel wrestling. Now you don't touch the ref. Now you don't break the rules. Now you're not holding the ropes to, like, leverage and everything like that. You're not gonna not break on a 5 count and things like that. They don't let heels be heels, which is why you end up with all these cowardly heels, which is super annoying. I miss dedicated, super badass heel wrestlers. Like, they were the shit. They were awesome. And they just got rid of them, and I don't get it. And I am going to say, it may sound like we're shitting on the business. By no means is that what we're doing. I am a diehard fan of wrestling. I will be until the day I die. I absolutely love it. But these are just gripes with things like, as somebody who's been watching this product for so fucking long, that you're going to find things that annoy you. And this first episode of this podcast is really us kind of airing grievances, which I didn't intend it to be. It just turned out to be that way. But let's clear the air a little bit. Let's get away from what we don't like. Let's move into some of the stuff that we do enjoy. From today's product, I guess we can look at that. I'm super happy that Braun Strowman is the Intercontinental Champion right now. I think that that's awesome. I think it's about time he finally had a singles title run in the WWE.
Oh yeah, hands down. I mean, he's had a couple, but I'm glad they gave him the
Well,
thing.
no, this
He's
is
like
his first singles belt. Like he's
well,
the
no,
only other belt he
he's
had. He
had
was the
yeah,
tag team champion with the 8-year-old.
yeah, no,
That
no,
was it.
no. He's had chances at titles, is what I mean.
Oh yeah,
He
he's had
didn't
opportunities. He's
have,
never
yeah, he
won
hasn't.
though.
Yeah, he's never won though. I'm glad they gave him something. And honestly, the IC is actually a great choice to have. I mean, so many superstars have had it, and honestly, I feel like he'll make a great Intercontinental champion. I feel like he'll be one of those that actually, like, instead of taking it as a demotion, he'll actually take something and run with it and actually turn it into something positive. Kind of like John Cena did with the United States Championship. You know, he turned that into a positive platform. I can see Braun Strowman hands down taking that. I mean, he's a great guy. I mean, everyone looks at Braun Strowman as a monster. You actually hear him. He's like in the real world, man. He's actually a sincere guy. He's actually a really nice guy. He's not just some giant person. I mean, most superstars are just nice guys, but he's actually a genuinely nice guy. If you've ever just like heard him talk, you know, he doesn't have like that asshole persona to him. And that's kind of what I like about Braun Strowman. I think everything he does is amazing in the WWE because it just defies belief to me. I mean,
Well,
the dude's
he
what?
reminds me. He reminds me a lot of Bam Bam Bigelow and Big Van Vader. These super big monsters of men who can move like fucking cruiserweights, and it makes no goddamn sense. When you see it, your mind breaks, and you're like, I don't get it. It does. I don't understand. I don't know why this is happening. I'm scared. Somebody hold me. I peed a little.
Exactly. And you see him when he sets up. My favorite thing is when he just sets up and runs around the ring, just bulldozing people, man.
That is fun to watch.
That, and you see it, and it's just like, dude, you're so excited today. Oh my goodness, he's gonna get him. He's gonna get him. Oh, you're gonna get him. You got him. You got him. And it's just, dude, it's stuff like that, man. Like it's great to see. You know, there's still some things. Like I said, we did. You're right. We did kind of like talk bad about it, but of course, like I said, like you said, we've been watching this for a long time. We're still relatively young. But the thing is, we've been watching it since the start. We've gone through so many of the eras. We've been through so many plotline stories. Of course, we got to get out some of ours, you know, some of the issues that we have, and it's great to kind of get them out. But besides Braun Strowman, I think, I honestly think Drew McIntyre. I think that I really feel like he'll be a plotline story that can be run with for at least a year, and I feel like that's good. You know, you give.
I can promise you. I know that if he wins at Mania, and I'm saying if because there's a very good chance that he won't. I think he should, but that doesn't mean anything. If he wins at Mania, I don't see him having a super long run with the belt. Like, I see him being a very much a transitional champion to put the belt on somebody who they didn't want to beat Brock. Kind of like Kofi was the champion to get the belt to Brock. Same concept.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was cool that Kofi won the title. Like, it was a really cool story. It was a cool moment, everything like that. But it wasn't the point of it. And I feel like we're going to kind of get into that same territory with Drew. Which is super unfortunate because, once again, Drew is super talented. And deserves to be a long-standing champion. But I don't know that he's going to get that opportunity.
Now let me ask you this right now.
Okay.
With everything that's going on right
Mm-hmm.
we talked about Drew McIntyre, we've talked about Becky Lynch, we've talked about things in the past. Where do you see them going from here? Be honest with me, let's start with the women's side of it. Because honestly, you know, it's important. I mean, the women's era, honestly, Becky Lynch was champion, things like that, and that's incredible too. I love Becky Lynch as a champion. Honestly, she is the man. She speaks her mind. She reminds me of CM Punk because she did what he did. And you know, and Seth Rollins had a lot to say about CM Punk, of course, had the whole Fox deal and saying something about Seth Rollins, and Becky Lynch chimed in on that. But it reminds me of that. But where do you see this? You gotta think. You gotta think like them. Realize, what do we do now? If we take Becky's title away, how long do you see? Does Charlotte come after it? Does Asuka get it? Does Becky Lynch get it? I mean, does Sasha Banks have another shot at it? Does Ronda Rousey come back randomly at some point? Have a kid. Where do you see it going from here?
I think the women's division is going to be run by NXT very soon. I think that Charlotte, Becky, Bayley, Sasha, all the women right now were very good to have to usher in that women's evolution, women's revolution thing. But I don't think that they're going to be the torchbearers forever. They can't be. You're going to have a transition at some point, which is why we're seeing Shayna Baszler come up to the main roster. There's a very good chance we're going to see Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley at Mania for the NXT title. Bianca Belair is on her way up in a big bad way. You have to get people like Candice LeRae, Io Shirai, Mia Yim. Like, there's so many talented women on that roster. And in all honesty, the two women who have been there the longest, who are the best, would be Charlotte and Sasha. Bayley's not a bad wrestler. And Becky, I don't personally like as a wrestler, but I wouldn't call her bad by any means. But the people coming up are so much more talented. It is insane to me that these women are as talented as they are and as good as they are. Because they have literally no business being this good. And that's not a man versus woman thing. Men don't have any business being as good as Rhea Ripley is. Men have no business being as good as Bianca Belair is. Like, Bianca Belair should be main eventing WrestleMania next year. She is that fucking good. Like, it is insane to me the amount of talent and depth they have right now. As far as where I see the women's division going, I see Shayna versus Becky for the belt at Mania. I see Charlotte versus Rhea for the belt at Mania. And I see Bayley versus Naomi for the belt at Mania.
Okay.
And from there, I mean, you're going to have your blow-off feuds. You're going to have to, like, Mania doesn't end their feuds ever. Mania just transitions into the next feud after Mania, which is the same thing. We'll see Charlotte and Rhea keep going at it after Mania. We'll see Becky and Baszler going at it after Mania. Like, these are just transition points. Like, Mania is supposed to be your Super Bowl, but the WWE doesn't have an off season, so the Super Bowl just continues into the next game the next night. So it's really hard to kind of like plan ahead for things like that and build these long-standing feuds when you don't really have the opportunity to take a breath. And I feel like we're gonna see some cool stuff soon. Like, Mania is gonna be a lot of fun. I'm going to watch it as I always do. And I'm excited to see what comes from Mania. Yeah, but like women's division wise, I see the regular feuds, the stuff I just said playing out. If you want me to pick, I'd say Charlotte goes over Rhea and becomes NXT champion. I think Shayna goes over Becky and becomes champion, and I think Naomi goes over Bayley. I think we're going to see an entire transition. Like, the only one I can see possibly keeping the title is Rhea, because I don't think they would move Charlotte to NXT full time. What about you? Where do you see this women's division going?
It's tough for me, man. Like I said, they have, you touched on a lot of points that I actually agree with.
I don't like that you sound surprised at that. You said a
I'm
lot
not
of things
surprised.
I agree with. It's
No,
weird,
because,
but you said it.
it's not surprise. It's just it's agreement, because it's literally kind of like the thought process I was thinking. The only thing I would literally change is how much they care about. Because Becky Lynch brings in, like, and to be fair, Becky Lynch brings in numbers. Let's be real. since Becky Lynch has been champion and been the man, the WWE's numbers have increased tenfold. There have been so many more because she speaks her mind. She doesn't speak. She doesn't speak for the women. She speaks against men too. She brings in that. I remember John Cena saying it like that. Ruthless. She brings that.
I just saw a clip of that the other day with him fucking slapping her.
I did too. It's like ruthless aggression. She brings that, and that's what my own concern is. They pull a Brock or pull a Becky like they're pulling a Brock, where they're waiting. Yeah, he'll lose a championship for Seth Rollins, but they have nothing set up after that. They're just trying to keep it going. Because look, CM Punk's title reign for 400 and something days.
75 days, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Look, to be fair, Punk didn't have any great feuds during that. Like, everybody thinks that the summer Punk took off when he beat Cena for the title of Money in the Bank. Absolutely not. It was his title reign after that where he had the long reign.
Exactly.
And he had nothing good during that. Like, he wrestled Ryback like 6 fucking times during that feud. And say what you want about Ryback. Ryback was over. Ryback sucked in the ring.
Yeah, Ryback was not, But anyway, but see, that's what I'm saying is they kept Punk the same way. Like I said, I agree to what I love. For reasons being, they kept the title for way too long. But see, now that's the problem is we're used to the title switching, but the only problem is Brock's been the only consistent. I mean, besides Becky Lynch keeping it.
I was gonna say Becky's had that belt for a fucking year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. But look beforehand, John Cena had the title, then Randy Orton had the title. No one. I mean, it just constantly switched left and right. Daniel Bryan, which honestly, I'm not gonna get into all that, but Daniel Bryan with the environmental championship, I don't speak about that because that.
See, I dug that. I thought it was great. I thought it was fucking great.
See, I didn't. I thought it was honestly one of the dumbest plot lines to me. But that, like I said, I don't want to see it happen. That's my only concern. Everything else that you said, I really pretty much agree with you on. It's what I'm the only concern. If they keep holding Becky as champion, I honestly would love her to see her lose. I would love to see it, but make sure everything's right. I mean, dude, maybe it's supposed to be the Super Bowl. It's not. I'm sorry, it's not. Because they have pay-per-views every single month.
I think Royal Rumble is more important than Mania at this point. I think it's a better pay-per-view.
Dude, I mean, you think about it, and honestly, we need to talk about the Royal Rumble too. We're gonna have to really touch on that because, ladies and gentlemen, Edge returned to the WWE in the Royal Rumble.
He did. He definitely did, and it was awesome.
One of the best moments I've seen in the last. God, he retired in 2011. The last 9 years of sports entertainment, quote unquote, for professional wrestling. That right there.
And I also love what they're doing with him and Orton right now. On top of that.
Hands down, the Randy Orton feud, where especially last basically attacking Matt Hardy and Matt, ladies and gentlemen, is no longer in the WWE. People that haven't.
Well, I mean, I think he's still there. His contract expires, I think, later this month.
Well, yeah, he's not.
They wrote him off TV.
They can stay. Yeah, what they're doing is.
He's going to go somewhere. It's going to be the end of his career. I personally think he's going to go to TNA and finish out his career there because that's where he had his most success. But, I mean, we'll definitely see. And TNA is kind of on the upswing right now. They've got new management in there, and they're putting together some good stuff. Tessa Blanchard as champion is a super interesting concept that I'm kind of into. So.
Okay, fair enough. It just... Like we were talking about the women's, though. I get so sidetracked. Sorry. But the only thing I'm concerned about is Becky Lynch. Look, she's had the title for over almost a year, if not over a year now. You have a competitor from NXT, a champion from NXT, former champion, a beast, a badass from NXT, question is, and one of the things is, does WWE think she's ready to be a champion? In my opinion, I think she's ready. She's held the NXT championship for many months, for a long reign, things like that.
She had a reign that was over a year. Her last reign was over a year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She had the long reign. She was champion for a reason. I honestly think Becky losing the title at Mania is what needs to happen.
And I think that is where they're going to go, just simply based on even what happened at Survivor Series, where they had the big triple threat between all the champions, and Shayna's the one who won the match, and had her on one of their big 4 pay-per-views holding up her title, the NXT title. Made it seem like they have faith in her to be quote-unquote ready for prime time, I guess is the best way of putting it. So I think that they are perfectly content with rolling with Shayna and putting the ball in her hands and letting her be that lead horse in the race. But whether or not they pull the trigger on that, because they struggle to find people who are going to bring in a lot of crowds and things like that, and Becky has done that. Becky sells tickets, and it's going to be hard for them to kind of take that cash cow and be like, well, we're going to put you on the back burner. So that's what concerns me.
And that's one thing. I mean, look at Drew McIntyre. Look, Dean Ambrose as well, dude. For many people that don't know, Dean Ambrose heel turn took more months to happen than it was supposed to. His heel turn was supposed to be actually.
It should have been instant.
They
cut the legs out from underneath him with having that be stretched out as long as it did. If he would have come back and attacked Rollins, he would have been way more over.
Oh no! It took 2.5 months, basically, for it to finally be fully set up. And because of course that's what, of course, Roman having answers, things like that, and not sad, and things like that. But it should have been instant. Shield reforms, boom. That maybe not that night, but the very next, like Rollins did, dude. I mean, when Rollins turned heel the first time, beautiful.
It was
but that's the problem is, are they going to push things back? And that's what concerns me is you have these people that are, in my opinion, are ready. Drew McIntyre, like I said, we've had conversations about it. I think Drew McIntyre is ready for that role, but at the same exact time,
might be something good this way.
you just some people say they're ready, and honestly, many years ago, said it the best. He literally said it the best. He goes, "There are some days where I look at a superstar that I think is going to be the best, and they turn out to be nothing. But there's the superstars that are nothing and turn out to be the guy. That's John Cena. John Cena. I mean, John Cena was honestly one of the biggest advocates in everything. Everything. I mean, you could say he was given. Everybody said, "Oh, Cena was handed this. Cena was handed that." But Cena earned what he had in mind.
Shit.
Yeah, dude. You don't become the face of the WWE for so long if you didn't earn it. Come on, let's be real about it.
And I mean, real talk here for a minute. Like, Triple H gets a lot of flack because he married Stephanie and all this shit. Triple H was one of the most talented wrestlers on the roster in an era that had The Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Bret Hart. Like, Triple H still stood out as being extremely talented. To be able to do that in an era, probably the most prominent era of wrestling that will ever have had happened, based on skill alone, as to the people who were there at that time. Yeah, Triple H has earned everything he gets right now. Like, he deserves to have the accolades and everything like that.
Oh, hands down.
And it honestly, it seriously bothers me when people talk about him, and not like I'm like, oh yeah, Triple H, I love Triple H, or anything like that. The dude is unbelievably talented. It pisses me off that people look at him like he doesn't deserve things, because he does. He's so fucking talented and good he was so good in the ring, and he was so good at just about everything he did. And to undercut everything like that, and even with Cena was handed this, Cena was handed that. John Cena was a guy who wasn't supposed to be anything. John Cena was a guy who wasn't supposed to be a champion. John Cena wasn't supposed to be the guy. John Cena got there on his own and through his work ethic. Same for Triple H. Same for Stone Cold Steve Austin. Same for anybody who's been at the top of that ladder. And it's so frustrating to me when people say things like that. Sorry, that was my little diatribe over my frustration, because it legitimately pisses me off. Oh, Triple H is only as good as he is because he married the boss's daughter. Like, no, Triple H is a legitimate badass. Was a hell of a champion, a hell of a wrestler, a hell of a talent, and deserved everything he got for the effort and the work he put in.
Exactly.
And now my diatribe is over. I go off on tangents sometimes, man.
I feel like they have a lot of good building pieces right now. I really do. I think they're gonna. I hope that they do something that, you know, makes me look back and, you know, saying, man, maybe it's like that. I still follow it, guys. I watch the highlights. I don't watch the physical show. I watch it on TV. You know, I watch Netflix, things like that. But like, I don't watch the show because I find 10% of it entertaining. I find the opening and the main event of each night the most entertaining part of the show now. The whole middle ground, that's the you used to have middle ground with the stuff like that, and I know I'm not trying to badmouth it, but I feel like they have enough talented caliber to be able to fill it. I mean, you have people like Ricochet, like we talked about, things like that. They have those people, but it's just the matches. I mean, the Viking brothers, dude. Those guys are literally tanks, and I love what they're doing with that right now with Kevin Owens. The Viking brothers and Kevin Owens, dude. Oh my goodness. Oh, and Samoa Joe, yeah.
Samoa Joe is another guy who should have been the fucking champion by now, by the way.
Oh yeah, hands down.
Another legitimate fucking badass who deserves to fucking be champion. Don't worry, I'm not going to go to the diatribe. I just want to say that.
No, there's just so much things that they could have, like, they can do that I'm actually excited to see where they go from here. You know, I'm excited to see what they do with the Fiend. I love the Fiend right now. I'm excited to see what they do with that. I'm excited to see with Drew McIntyre. Hopefully, you know, Brock Lesnar. I'll see that. You know, but then again, they could do something stupid and have Ricochet beat Lesnar on it. But then again, that doesn't build much hype.
I'm going to say this right now. There's literally no way Ricochet beats Brock Lesnar. There's no fucking way they would let that happen with how they built up this Mania match with the Rumble and everything. Well, that would.
A couple years ago, where Jinder Mahal was champion, and then all of a sudden, on the week right before the Survivor Series or something versus Brock Lesnar, you know, champion. The Survivor Series was bragging rights.
No, it was Survivor Series.
Okay, yeah, and
no, and I understand what you're saying. It's one thing to throw a swerve in before you get to Survivor Series, especially with a champion that's not hot and a guy like AJ Styles who's so over, it's insane. Ricochet is not at AJ Styles' level of over. Brock Lesnar is not as hated as a champion as Jinder Mahal was. Nobody was looking forward to Jinder Mahal versus Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series, and AJ Styles got the best match that Brock Lesnar has had since his return to WWE in that match at Survivor Series. They made the right choice with that. It would be insane if they were like, fuck yeah, Ricochet and Drew McIntyre at Mania.
But they do that stuff, man. They do it, and that, I mean, that builds some hype. It throws curveballs in, and then like Brock Lesnar winning Money in the Bank. I mean, like I saw that coming from.
I did not see that coming because I didn't think, for one, since he wasn't advertised, it didn't make any sense to me that he was magically in the match.
This is your champion.
I knew it was going to be Brock Lesnar. You knew it because right now they need that. Yeah, I mean, he puts people in their seats, man. And he does. I mean, he's a great champion, man. But
I mean, it's the same thing it was back in the day during Evolution when Triple H was champion. People paid money when Triple H was champion because they wanted to fucking see him lose.
yeah, exactly.
And there's nothing wrong with having a champion that you want to see lose. Like, that's the best type of heat as a heel, where people will pay money because they hope that you don't succeed. Oh my god, that is the best fucking heat you can get as a wrestler. That's X-Pac heat. That's the best you can do. Oh, sorry, we just dropped in a game, so we're a little focused for a second because another team dropped with us. And like I said, guys, this is going to be something we do pretty regularly. This is going to be a weekly podcast now, where we talk about wrestling and things like that. They will probably be more structured going forward than they have been this time, just because we've been trying to like get this done. So it was kind of a, oh shit, it's working. Let's hurry up and record before it stops working. I'm working my way towards you. Yeah, I'm trying to get to you now. But it will be more structured in the future. We'll have better talking points where we're not just kind of all over the place with what we're saying. But it's gonna be a work in progress. Like, Gavin's never done podcasting before, so that's a lot of this is integrating him into this, which is why we're doing it live and doing it this way, because Gavin is a streamer. Anybody who wants to go follow Gavin, it's mixer.com/ This is where you plug your stuff. Tell them what your stream is.
Sorry, someone sent me something on Graham. Told me to look at it. I don't know. By the way, guys, my mixer count is just a gap. For people that do it, you guys, I stream daily. I stream Fortnite, not background. I do play WWE, actually, the video game, actually relatively a lot more, which I enjoy. It's actually a good game to play.
And I do have an idea or something with that, because I may buy WWE 2K20, so we can do something.
I mean, I'll body you. You say fight me on a I'll literally write you, dude, by the way.
Well, what I'm thinking would be fun to do would be to kind of do our own WWE Universe thing.
Of course.
And then we can do that once a week on stream. Like, we can go through and do some matches and stuff like that. I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
That's a side note, though. We can talk about that off podcast, off stream.
I'll still body you.
That's fine. I've never been good at those games. You're more than welcome to beat my ass.
I'll just see, but me, I'm the old man. I'm the one that takes Randy Orton punt kick back on him, because that was one of my favorite things. When Randy Orton used to punt people in the head, everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, it's too violent, dude." People that know Randy Orton, bro, like, come on, you cannot say the punt kick was not Randy. Like, that was literally one of the best things ever. I mean, back in the day when he used to punt kick every member next to the head, or punt kick anybody, he literally, dude, Woo.
I made a boo-boo. I'm gonna die.
Oh, well. Oh, yep, you're dead.
That is a whole team. That is an entire
Ladies and gentlemen,
team.
Nerdy has gone down again.
They're just running at me. It's like a movie.
They
got me. Oh no, we're getting our asses kicked.
But it's, I'm more focused on this than I am actually the video game. I'm just playing it just to. I mean, we could be playing Duck Duck Goose right now, and I'd be having a good time.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, I will say in the future we are going to have more structure to this, more talking points, better things to go over, things like that. This was really the first one to kind of get my leg. I haven't done a podcast for quite some time, so it was kind of to get my legs back under me. It's to introduce Gavin to doing this kind of thing. This will also be uploaded on YouTube, youtube.com/BigGayViking. And it's going to be fun. I think this is going to be a fun thing to keep doing over and over again. Eventually we will have a scheduled start time for the stream so people can tune in to watch. And everything will be scheduled and everything like that. But yeah, thank you so much to anybody who's watching this, anybody who stopped by during the stream to say hi, anything like that. And yeah, this will be fun to continue doing in the future. For the first ever episode of my Big Gay Wrestling Podcast, I have been your host, the Big Gay Viking himself, Logan, and you have been...
Mcgavin. That's me,
Thank you so much, everybody. And until next time... Until next time, everybody. Oh, God.